Lucy, welcome to Disabled and Proud. How are you today?
Super. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I mean, I've literally just said off the recording that I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today, and I'm not going to spoil it because it's your baby, it's your thing. But should we just dive in with the first question?
Go for it.
So the first question that I ask everyone that comes on this podcast is, how do you refer to your disability?
That's a very good question. It really depends who I'm talking to. I tend to just refer to myself as a healthcare user.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that people need to know for my access needs. And sometimes I mention that I have a PA, but I only really mention that when I need an extra ticket or extra space. I very rarely mention that I had cerebral palsy because I don't really think it matters.
I love that as well, because what you said about access is so important. Like, the power chair is your access. That's what falls under like your access needs. And actually outside of that, nothing else matters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as long as you know what I need, which is step-free access, that you don't need to know why.
Yeah, I love that as well, because I think as disabled people, and I feel like I can say this because I've done this for a little while now, particularly as disabled women, people think that we owe them an explanation as to either like how we acquired our disabilities or the story behind them. And people always seem to really press for that story, but actually then there almost needs to be like a layer of privacy that you keep for yourself, that actually that story doesn't need to be told to you if I don't know you.
No, it's literally no business.
Yeah.
B, I don't have a story. Something happened, but I don't remember it, and I have nothing to say about it. And what I have developed a habit of saying, "Why do you need to know?"
I love that so much.
Absolutely stumps people.
But I love that though, because I think so many people could take that on board and really learn a lesson from it. Because I think, again, disabled people are almost expected to just roll over and we're these meek-smiled people.
Yeah, and be like a public education service.
Yeah, literally that. Be that person who has to educate you all the time now.
I'm a doctor because I find it really boring. I have no interest in my own neurology.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I actually love that so much. Like, I don't actually know because I'm not a doctor, but it is what it is. Like, move on.
I'm not going to explain brain chemistry to you. I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly that. And I love that so much, because like I said, so many people could take goodness from that, because I think sometimes people feel like they are owed an explanation, but then sometimes people feel like they're pressurized into giving an explanation. And like you said, like, nothing happened to me. Like, I don't have this like quote unquote interesting disabled story. Like, that's not the reality for me. And also, if that's what you expect of all disabled people, then like, you need to check yourself, because you don't know what trauma you're instigating in someone's mind.
If someone has had some traumatic incident, you're not owed that story.
Some of the stories I've heard, particularly on this podcast, of people who have gone up to disabled people and like asked them weird questions, or like asked them about their disability, like, and not even being like, "Hi, how are you?" is honestly astounding. This is actually, again, such a seamless transition. I'm going to pat ourselves on the back for this, because I'd like to talk to you about what childhood was like for you as a disabled child, because everybody's experiences tends to be very different, particularly surrounding childhood and disability. And what was that experience like for you?
as a young kid from primary school age, I was really lucky. I had a great time at school. I was supported at school. My parents were very supportive. I had good friends. I was able to have the care I needed at school, which basically meant I could do everything at age because it was a lot harder at secondary school.
Yeah.
I think like basically every disabled person I've ever met, I was bullied quite badly. I went to a very private school. And they just didn't want to know the school. I was doing well at school. I was doing well academically. So they just washed their hands of the fact that I was being bullied.
Yeah.
That really affected me for a while. I had a lot of therapy.
Yeah. Therapy is cool. I'm gonna put it out there.
Love it. My favorite thing.
Mine too.
Now it's good. Yeah. So really, first bit great, second bit not. But yeah.
It is so interesting because I find that when you're younger with a disability, people really want you to succeed. And that's like from the ages of like, I want to say like 2, 3 to maybe about around 13. People really, really want you to succeed and they're really willing to help and support you. And then it's almost like you hit puberty and like your teen years that people almost like just brush their hands of you because you're like a bit older now. You've kind of got a bit of a base of who you are, but like that's it.
I also think kids, like little kids, don't care.
Yeah.
And kind of the hormones hit, and it's all about fitting in and being the same and doing exactly what you're supposed to do at the same time they're doing it. And obviously, that was just not possible. But I don't really blame the 13-year-olds that are into school anymore. Because they were 13. But for that to just be allowed was somewhat unnecessary.
Yeah, no, and I actually completely agree with what you said about teenagers like almost don't know what they're doing because they're fun. Like think about when you were a teenager, right? And I think about this quite a lot. From the ages of maybe 13 to I'm probably going to say 18, you're literally fumbling through those years.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Awful. Like, every day I'm so happy I'm not 14. Like,
you could not pay me enough money to go back and relive teenagers. You genuinely couldn't.
When people say they had a great time in secondary school, I'm like, you're okay. No.
I love that so much. Like, you're the abnormal one if you had a good time. Yeah, literally that, right?
I have absolutely no anger feelings towards those kids. I do have quite a lot of beef with the teachers.
Yeah, because that's a really difficult point of view, isn't it? Because teachers hold a place of responsibility. And like they're seen as people that you're meant to be able to go to if there's a problem. And if they're not acting upon the problems that you present to them, that is a problem.
Yeah. But hey,
here we are. We love therapy. We survived. But interestingly, what was it like for you after school? Because you, like you said earlier, you were a politics student. And I would love to talk about how you got into that and how it's progressed throughout your career.
Yeah, I had a great time at uni. Starting again was fantastic. I met some great people, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun. And didn't work very hard. Started writing when I was 15, 16,
Yeah.
and a blog. I wrote, and loved it, loved writing, loved non-fiction writing, especially. Didn't really want to do English degree because I didn't want to read lots of old novels.
Fair, absolutely fair.
So I thought what am I going into? And I was really into chatting the news on the telly. So I did politics. I loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
It was really accessible. Unlike school, there were actually other disabled people there.
Yeah.
It's sensitive to just not feel like the sore thumb.
Yeah, like the odd one out.
Yeah.
And I love that as well, because I think for a lot of people, university is almost like where they really find themselves, because it's the first time like you could be away from home. It's the first time that you don't necessarily have that friendship group that you've had for like the past however many years at school. You might be in a completely new place. Like you're really learning to stand on your own 2 feet without your, what I would call like your close connections or your close safety net. And I love it when I hear about disabled people thriving at uni, because I think for so many people, school is not fun because it's not built for disabled people, and they don't want to have the awkward conversations around disability because they don't know how to handle disabled kids. Like schools don't, and that's speaking from experience, speaking from other conversations with people I've had. Schools cannot cope with disabled students. It just doesn't work, because you know, you're kind of seen as a health and safety hazard for everything. Like, and that could be like your English class. You could be the health and safety hazard, and you're not sat here reading a book, how am I a health and safety hazard? But it transpires throughout the whole scholastic system. And so when you go to university, it's almost like you have your own autonomy back. You have that, I'm a person, I'm not a health and safety hazard anymore. And people are seeing me for my brain and how I think and what I can write.
I went to work in particular because it was completely accessible.
Yeah.
And they had a big disability services department, which was just completely new, mind-boggling experience for 18-year-old Lucy. You know, there are issues with learning to have full-time care and all the rest of it, but my disability wasn't a problem, or like it was not a problem, which meant that no one treated it like a problem.
Yeah. And I love that, because disability is never the problem. It's never, ever the problem.
No. But if you're stuck somewhere or you're not given the support, it becomes a problem, and then the people around you have an excuse to treat a problem.
Exactly that. Like, nail on the head. That is it summed up. I would love to talk about your career, because you have written for some really freaking big papers, and you have written some really cool stuff.
Thank you.
And you have also just announced that you have written a book. But I'm not going to say the title. I'm not going to say anything about it, because I want you to talk about it because it's your baby. But how did you get into like activism, journalism, and political journalism? Because you've written quite a bit about disability, and it's always a really interesting read. And I'm wondering, how did that happen for you?
Yeah, a little bit of a 1 year old. One can say. I knew I wanted to be a journalist, because I love writing, but I had literally no ability to form a plot. Did a lot of work experience in my level of uni. Got a lot of kind of conflicting advice, which was either write about disability because it's what you know, you'll get published, or don't write about disability because you will be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
So I think I had this strange internalized ableism that writing about disability was somehow less intellectual than writing about anything else. So I spent quite some time pretending. So for a while I was a political reporter for the BBC.
Yeah.
Which is great and also so inaccessible.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened. And yeah, I love the BBC. The BBC is an amazing thing. But they're not keen on using the experience to inform what you're doing. So I was covering COVID press conferences while also doing stunt memes about what was happening to disabled people during COVID and not being able to do anything about it. I got more and more frustrated and more frustrated with the BBC for various reasons. And then some personal stuff happened around disability that I think we might get into. I just thought, I don't even know what we're doing here or what or why. So I kind of quit. Luckily, I still have contact for my uni days at the Guardian. I knew some people at the Times, and I knew people. So I was very lucky that I already had contact.
Yeah.
So I write about disability in the arts, in politics, in culture, in healthcare, and wherever you name it, disabled people there, I write about it. What I do these days, and it's great, I love it. I get to spend my days talking to disabled people who are doing cool stuff. Well, that's the dream. So I'm retired, and the book is coming out in September.
So exciting.
It's called The View from Down Here. Because I thought of it and it made me chuckle. And it's a memoir, but it's really specifically looking at how everything has intertwined with sexism throughout my life, and the weird, wonderful, bad, wacky stuff that come out of that.
Yeah. I love what you said about how there's always something to say about disability because disabled people are everywhere. And I think people forget that.
Yes. 1 in 5. I'm not making this up. They are all things in a wheelchair, but that doesn't mean they're not there.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? We've got as a society, we've got such an ingrained image of what we think disability is. And the reality of it is that disability is this massive umbrella term that underneath it, it's a whole freaking myriad of different things that actually this one image of like a wheelchair or a power chair or crutches or stoma bag, it's not one size fits all at all.
If you think of a disabled person, you think of a white guy in a manual wheelchair who doesn't need any help.
Yes, it's so true.
That's not what disability is. Like, some of it is that, sure, but there's so many different impairments, different intersections with other identities, and disabled people are everywhere. When she was about the book, I was having more and more conversations where it was becoming obvious that the way I experienced ableism as a disabled woman who needs a lot of care and has speech impediment is vastly different from a disabled man.
Yeah.
But also anyone who doesn't need care. I realised that people weren't aware of that. And needed to be talked about. So I wrote a book.
I love what you said though, just then, because it's literally like just lit off like a light in my head, is what you said about how people view disabled men and disabled women. So I was literally having this exact conversation with a guy friend who also happens to be disabled. Yeah. And I was talking to him about how, you know, like I generally don't open my request files on Instagram because I know that there's going to be some real bizarre requests in there, all surrounding my disability. And he was saying that he never gets anything, ever. Has never once had a weird message, has never once had like an illicit picture, nothing, gets no questions, gets no nothing. When he's out in public, everyone is lovely to him. People will open doors for him. He literally has no issues when it comes to like the public. And when I heard that, honestly, when I heard that, I was like, pardon? Like, sorry, can we like swap roles for the day so I could just experience what that was like? Because that's not what it's like for disabled women. And you're so right.
The one that really got me was in dating and I firmly believe dating apps are the work of the devil, but like they never ask if they can have sex. But I got a lot of stuff about, am I gonna have to be a carer? Like, I don't want to be a carer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know that like your theoretically non-disabled partner could get ill or something like, or I don't know, have a baby. But my guy friends don't get that on dating apps.
I agree with absolutely everything you said, because I have this conversation with my guy disabled friends quite a lot, and they get absolutely sweet FA compared to like the bizarre messages that I've had. Like I had someone ask me to send them a video of me bending my elbow, and I was like, excuse me? And like that didn't come from a good place. Like it came from like this erotic fetishized place, and I was like, this is too much for me. Like I am not here to fulfill that fantasy for you. Like that's not what I'm about. And it is so interesting that all of my guy friends get absolutely nothing. And it seems to be that ableism and sexism, particularly for women, kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. The sexism that we face is often the direct opposite of non-disabled women. So the assumption that we can't be mothers.
Yeah.
My non-disabled friends, everyone assumes that they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make in the book is that it comes from the same thing. It comes from, in that scenario, the idea of the mother as perfect, endlessly capable, and is aspirational. So for non-disabled women, the assumption is you should want that because it's the ideal of womanhood. But then for disabled women, it's like, well, you are so far from the ideal of woman that you can't have it.
Yeah.
But it's the same underlying problem.
Oh my God, my brain has literally just gone like because everything you've just said is so alarmingly accurate, and nobody has been able to explain what you just explained so well. And that idea that actually, like, I can literally see like the picture of like that perfect womanhood, isn't it? Like 1950s housewife making her husband dinner, having kids. That is meant to be what society pushes on people as the ideal. So automatically, if you're disabled, you won't ever get to that because some part of you is, for want of better word, lacking in society's eyes.
Yeah.
So therefore you're never going to get it. Oh my
And
God, my brain.
we're not really quite seeing as women.
Yeah.
Right? This took me right in the book to figure it out in my head.
Yeah.
But because we're so infantilized and desexualized and all the rest of the fun stuff, we are not quite in the category of woman. Suddenly we have problems with saying because you're not quite a woman, so why would a man go out with you? And then problems with clothes because you're not quite a woman, you don't care about your clothes. Or problems with motherhood because you're not quite a woman, so you can't possibly be a mother.
Yeah.
It's all the same problem. It's all a failure to expand the definition of what a woman is.
Yeah. Oh my, like my brain is literally just gone like pow, 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 because everything that you're saying is so accurate. And you're right, it's that idea that we haven't actually fully formulated our societal, well, I say formulated, I don't mean formulated, I mean that society's not changed with times. And that's like, we haven't updated, we haven't progressed, we've got nowhere, because actually at the base root of it, woman is meant to be this one thing, when actually that doesn't fit society, never has done historically if you look back, but it also never will. What I like to go on to now, because I think this is actually a really good question for you, is, have you got a piece of advice for a younger version of Lucy?
Yes, I'm asked this a lot, and it's always the same thing. Find the community.
Yeah.
Like, now, I basically didn't know a disabled person until I was 16.
Yeah.
They were out there. 1 in 5. 1 in 5.
1 in 5 people.
And yet there I was marooned at this school. And like, I looked, but just, social media was not what it is now. Like, there weren't really groups for physically disabled teenagers. There was a lot for kids with autism or whatever, which is great, but I didn't really, at age, didn't exactly have a understanding of disability. I just wanted someone like me.
Yeah.
Right. So I couldn't really find any groups. Of course I knew actually that other disabled people were out there, but it kind of felt like they weren't. Right.
No, but I think that's a really important point, because I think particularly disabled children, if you are not in some form of community group, whatever, it can very much be that you are by yourself.
Yeah. So I met a disabled person, he's still like one of my best friends. Went to uni some more, and then kind of obviously fell into it on Twitter and Instagram and found with people, and now I have like loads of disabled friends, and I'm thinking, how did I not know anyone?
Yeah.
But that journey has been absolutely life-changing.
Yeah.
And like, if I'd had that even at 12, rather than 16 and again at 21, how different would life have been? And how much, like, less anxious would I be as a human being?
Yeah.
I think kids now maybe are gonna find it earlier because they are gonna go on Instagram and whatever the kids are using instead.
I know, right?
And they are gonna find it, and they are gonna see what I never saw, which was young disabled adults being successful and happy and out in the world. I guess for sure. Yeah, I'm not
right?
terrifying.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna be like that, hopefully, for the next generation. But they also need to know to look for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone telling them.
Hands them a leaflet. By the way, you can look for pals like you online.
Yeah.
I think that is so important, isn't it? Is that what I have come to realize, probably a lot later in life than I should have, is that the disabled community are one of the most supportive and understanding communities there is, purely
Also,
because they understand it.
yeah, and also the funniest.
I second that. I fully second that. I also think I'm the funniest person I
I
know.
mean,
I fully second that, because just that there is nothing quite like disabled humor. If you're disabled, if you're not disabled and you're trying to crack a disabled joke, you're an asshole. Get out. You're not in the club. Leave.
Yeah, very, very adamant about that. But yeah, I also enjoy making a disability joke to another disabled person in the presence of a non-disabled person because they don't know what to do. I'm like, if I said it, you can laugh. You can't say it, but you're allowed to laugh at my joke.
Because I'm the funniest person.
I'm hilarious.
I love that though, because I think finding the disabled community for a lot of people is incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
And I do think you're right about younger disabled people not feeling as, you didn't say this, but I'm going to say it, as not feeling as alone, because they can search for other people who look like them or have the same disability as them, or you know, like when you think about, like, look at how Instagram and TikTok have exploded. Like, people are learning how to fry eggs because of Instagram. Like, that's wild. So if you can learn to fry an egg on Instagram, you can also find people who look like you or have similar disabilities and tips and tricks and whatever. And that's incredible, because you're right. We didn't have that 10 years ago. It didn't exist.
Even for me, as a disability activist, one of the most incredible things of the past couple of years has actually been seeing disabled people who are parents and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't there 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it literally wasn't there because I know, because I looked. Right?
Yeah.
And now, suddenly, everywhere, this is what my 18-year-old tell people that and terrified about the future. Needed to see other people doing the thing.
Yeah. It's so true, because this also boils down to representation, right? Is that before social media, we had traditional media like newspapers, magazines, TV, films. You know, that was pretty much how we got any form of zeitgeist. And there was no representation for disabled people. And if there was, on the off chance, it was very much like, he's a para-Olympian, therefore he's a god and he's overcome disability. Or flip side, it was, oh no, this is poor Sam who's lost his leg and now he has no life. And that was it. There's nothing in between. You couldn't just be like a successful disabled person. Whereas Instagram has given that to someone.
Yeah. I always say it's so basic, but like it needs to be said over and over and over again. You can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to see. So we walk around blindly. Some of us did that quite successfully, but it was really bloody hard. It could be less hard if you can see someone else doing it before you.
Yeah. Right?
Like, the power of that. And like, I think this is something that like non-disabled people do not understand. Because they've always had people to follow. You know, if we talk about having kids one day or whatever, I'm like, imagine when you were 20, you'd never seen anyone who like you have a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to them, but when you put that out there, they're all a bit horrified. And you
Mm-hmm.
think, but that was my life.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you see why I'm scared about going up?
Mm-hmm. It's so true. It's so true because this is like, again, representation. Where was it for disabled teens? Where was it for disabled young adults? Where are the disabled mothers? Where are the disabled fathers? We now look for them actively on Instagram, and actually, like, social media, the devil, but also the best thing that was ever invented. It's real, like, it's a real beast, and it has its own like issues and stuff. But
Yeah,
actually, in terms of representation, it has done fucking wonders for disabled people.
absolutely. And has also changed traditional media.
Yes, completely.
You know, I can now say to it that, look, a million people are following disabled people are interested.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and, I mean, you know, the media is horrendous quite a long time, but it is changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I got a commission recently to write about disabled woman body image.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got that commission 10 years ago. Nobody cared.
Yeah. It's so true.
And like, the pace of change is achingly slow
Mm-hmm.
and drives me up the wall on a continual basis. But it is changing.
Yeah. That is something that I've said before, and I'll say it again, and it's a really unpopular opinion, and I'm aware of that, is that historically change in society does not come about quickly. And
No.
because we're so used to instant gratification through social media, through, Amazon, you can order something now and you can get it in a couple of hours. Because we can get things so quickly, the fact that society doesn't change at the same pace is frustrating and infuriating, and it is incredibly slow. However, there is seeds of change happening. Change is
Yeah.
happening, just at snail's pace.
But we could not have had our jobs in the 90s.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if someone had been like, I'm going to do a radio show all about disability? People would be like, oh,
Imagine me, girl in Palantir would speak to men on the telly and like, this
yeah.
wouldn't have happened.
It would never have happened. And we also would never have had this conversation picking
No,
apart society.
no one would have given me a book deal.
It honestly, like, this is like blowing my mind. I'm also loving this interview because I love pulling apart society. It's such good fun.
My favorite thing to do. I mentioned I was a politics student.
But I love this because actually the two of us having this conversation is really important, because there's going to be someone out there who listens to this and realizes that everything that they've experienced in their life is not their fault. And
Yes.
that is
Oh my
so
God.
important.
It is not you. Also, you're not imagining it.
Yeah, that one as
That was a
well.
big revelation to me at some point somewhere. Like, it's so easy to think, oh, maybe I'm taking it the wrong way. Maybe this isn't what they meant, or whatever, or I'm just unlucky, or no, it's ableism.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
always
that is.
ableism.
And literally what my friends, no joke, but I have a look on my face that just says ableism. And then I put it there and did that. But I apparently have a face.
It's so true though, because it is always ableism. I remember a couple of weeks ago, no, it must be a couple of months ago now, I had some like quite like stark is not the right word, but it kind of works in this story. ableism to my face, right? And it'd been a really long time since I'd had anything like that.
Yeah.
And it was almost like what you said, like I was thinking to myself, I was like, was that it was? Oh my God, like that is exactly what it was. And you do second guess yourself because you're like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
And then you realize what it is and you're like, oh my goodness, like you don't even realize the implications of what you've just said.
Yeah.
But then I'm that person that's like, okay, so I'm going to lay this all out for you, and what you said was actually terrible, and here's the reasons why, and I've got this like the you know things to back it up. Like I'm going to explain to you why you've been a dick.
No,
and that catches people off guard as well.
Yeah, no, I'm that girl. Also, hilariously, my friends are becoming that girl, so I just sit there and nod while they destroy this random man. And I'm like, thank you. I'm glad you did that because
I see you.
I didn't want to. And yeah, also the shock on people's face when you go, do you know how it's really is?
Yeah.
And they're like, me? Never. You're like, oh, you all the time.
Yeah, literally that. Literally that. I love that though.
Yeah, I think possibly I'm now taking it too far. I won't let anything go. And my friends are like, oh God, here she goes again. But then they get involved too, so they got like it really.
See, that's the politics student in you, isn't it? Being like, I'm not going to let this go.
Yeah, I'm no ability to walk away.
But it always boils down to ableism. Always.
I have a friend say to me, she'd not been feeling well, and she was like, oh, I was really ashamed to call in sick to work. I don't know why. And I was like, everything is, and she was like, oh, really? What have we been talking about for 10 years? That's what
Oh, but it's true. It's everywhere. And also what's interesting is that it doesn't always just affect disabled people.
One thing I find really interesting is, and I've written about this in the book, is the way that people are over there, and sexist, obviously, toward my care team.
Interesting.
In the sense of like, they will try and challenge ableism and be completely dismissed. And then like, my dad will get involved. And he's a white guy in a suit. Right?
Yeah.
And suddenly like, oh, we're very sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what has happened?
Thanks so much, Dad. But also, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, and Dad was like, oh, poor guy. But like, the way that people treat carers is just outrageous. And like, essentially, it's ableism, and it's the same thing. But they're associated with disabilities, so they get it too.
Yeah. I'm in agreement, complete agreement with you. But also something that I think about quite often is, at what point did people start seeing care work as like not that important? Because surely that's one of the most important job roles in the world, right? Is being able to give care and to look after one another, and like, that's how society moves forwards. Because if you're not caring for other people, then like society just doesn't progress, full stop, like regardless of who you are and what you do.
I was at what point did we decide it was unskilled?
Yes, exactly that. Exactly that.
Let me tell you, I've had some frankly terrible carers, so I'm pretty aware that it's actually quite skilled.
Do you know what, Lucy? I've only got one final question for you.
Really?
But I've loved this interview, I have to say. I've had a freaking great time. But Lucy, are you disabled and proud?
So disabled and proud. Might get tattooed on my forehead. I am obsessed with telling people I'm proud to be disabled. Partly because it confuses them, but do without them.
Yeah.
I enjoy. But there are moments when they get over that and they say why. I'm like, well, I have a whole community that you don't have. And see, I have a whole job based on the premise of being disabled and proud. So I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I love it.
I have honestly so enjoyed this interview. I've had a freaking great time. I am so excited to get my hands on your book. Well, I say hands, I only have one, so it's very much hand. But I'm so excited to delve into it because I think the topics that we've discussed today are so important in society. And I love how you write, so I cannot wait to get my hand on it. I'm so looking forward to it, and I can't wait to read it. And thank you for being a guest on the podcast. I've loved it.
Thank you for having me. I would be remiss not to say the book is out on the 7th of September. Hopefully our good books we'll find out.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it will be in bookshops and it's available to pre-order now. And pre-orders are really, really helpful for first time authors. So if you can, please find it and order it.
Go and order it now. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.